these are things that you need to be doing with your money, and you need to be looking at these details and paying attention, because people with money, they find these little things and they're scooping up pennies, and all of a sudden the pennies turn into dollars. So,
do you want a wealthy retirement without worrying about money? Welcome to the Retire in Texas podcast, where you will discover how to enjoy your faith, your family, and your freedom in the state of Texas. And now, here's your host, financial advisor, author, and all-around good Texan, Darryl Lyons.
Hey, this is Darryl Lyons, CEO and co-founder of PAX Financial Group, and you're listening to Retire in Texas. This information is general nature only. It's not intended to provide specific investment, tax, or legal advice. Visit paxfinancialgroup.com for more information. I believe good money decisions happen in a conversation, and so we're going to have a conversation today. And if you want to have a conversation with an advisor here, go to the Connect With Us Now button on paxfinancialgroup.com. 15-minute consultation. They are the advisors here have a heart of a teacher, so I think you'll really appreciate just seeing if it's a good fit. I want to talk about 4 recent tax changes, 2 of which are irrelevant if you don't live in Texas. I know a lot of you live in Texas or don't live in Texas, many of you guys, but so 2 are very important for non-Texans or for an American in general, and 2 are relevant for Texans. So, but they're really interesting regardless. So stay with me. I think it's worth, in fact, I would suggest to you, they probably, whatever state you're in, you might want to check it out on your own. So these are brand new, hot off the press. Like you might not even heard about these things before. You might have them, you might not know what they are. So I'm going to give you what they are. And then of course, my opinion. And just like everyone else, I'm an expert in my own opinion. But the first one is a Trump account. So there's 4 of them. This is the Trump accounts. I don't know if you've heard of the Trump accounts. And you're probably saying, oh, great, you created an account and you named it Trump. Of course he names it Trump, right? But what are you expecting? But don't get all squirrely about the who created this or whose name is on it. This is really cool. The only reason you wouldn't like it is because you don't understand compounding interest. I've been studying compounding interest since 1995 when I went to St. Mary's University and started to explore compounding interest. Actually, I was working at a bank at Bandera Woodlawn in San Antonio, Texas, primarily Spanish-speaking community. Que era abro una cuenta de cheques o de euros. And so that's where I learned about compounding, and I had a little HB1, 2B, and just really understood the power of it. And it's not only understanding it, it's doing it and doing it consistently. So there's a lot of elements to compounding. But if you don't understand compounding, you'll never appreciate the Trump accounts. If you understand compounding, the Trump accounts are amazing. So what they are is you can put, if your mom, dad, anybody can put $5,000 in per child, even an employer, per year. And they can invest it. Now, it has to be invested a specific way. It can only be invested in very low cost investment portfolios that mimic the S&P 500. Something we should have done with Social Security a long time ago. That's a different podcast. But the Trump accounts are pretty amazing. In fact, so you can go to trumpaccounts.gov to learn more. So I just want to let you know that. There's an example on there. There's actually an example of somebody put in $5,000 per year for their kid. And they let it compound over 18 years. This is their website, trumpaccounts.gov. It says it would be worth $271,000. $5,000 per year would be worth $271,000. Now that's those estimates are for illustration purposes only. The actual results may differ. It says all that on the website. But it's crazy that's a potential outcome for an 18-year-old. Can you imagine an 18-year-old? So this just started this year. So this year, here's something interesting that's happening. The U.S. Treasury wants to kickstart these programs, so they're putting in $1,000 for a child who is born 26 or 25, 26, 27, 28. If you're born in those windows, then there's going to be $1,000 put in that account for you, and you just have to sign up for it. You can sign up at, like I said, trumpaccounts.gov. There's also a tax form, an IRS form, 4547. So when you file your return, you may want to look for that. But there's a specific like Kickstarter program that the U.S. Treasury is putting in $1,000 for kids born between 2025 and 2028. So that's just a Kickstarter, $1,000. And then Michael Dell and his wife come along, and they did another Kickstarter. I'd call it they call it pilots, not Kickstarters, but they're putting in $250 for anyone that lives in a zip code that's in specific zip codes where the median household income is less than 150,000. So they're putting in money. And if you weren't born in that window that I mentioned earlier, if you're born outside that 25, 28 window, under 18. So that's $250 from Michael Dell if you have kids under 18. $1,000 if they were born in the next around 25 to 28 in the recent history. And then the rest of the money is on your own. So that's kind of, with air quotes, free money from Michael Dell and the Treasury. The rest of it you have to put on your own, and you should really do it. It's really fascinating how this works. And the last thing I want to mention, this is the kicker. So this is why I think it's cool. So all of that's great, but here's the kicker. I'm really actually kind of excited about this. When a kid turns 18, it converts, and it's all I've read the bill. It converts to an IRA, a traditional IRA. So it just flips over. So 18, let's use this example of 271,000, flips over to traditional IRA. But here's the kicker. You can convert that traditional IRA to a Roth. If you don't know, Roths are completely tax-free. Now, an 18-year-old's not going to have a lot of income. So converting to a Roth and keeping a little strategy here, but you keep it in a low bracket so you don't convert the whole thing. Every year you convert some to make sure you don't pay taxes on the conversion, or very small taxes. But I don't think it's going to be an impossible task with a good advisor and some good strategy to convert this bucket of money in the traditional that came from the Trump accounts, from a traditional to a Roth, and then from 18 to age 59 and a half, it's all tax free. I don't know if they're going to change that, but it's crazy, crazy cool. So I wanted to let you know about that. Trump accounts. Like I said, if you don't get compounding, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. But compounding makes this thing just crazy awesome. And frankly, a game changer for a lot of people's lives. I really mean that. So, okay. That's actually my most exciting one for me personally. The other three, they're awesome. I guess you judge my enthusiasm, I guess. The next one's cool. It's called the senior deduction. So this really only applies to you if you're 65, but make sure your parents know about it if you're not 65. And it's not like something you have to do, but there is a problem if you don't pay attention. And so, for example, I was working with somebody and they wanted to take money out of their IRA. They're over 65. They want to take money out of their IRA. And when I looked at the math, if they took too much out of their IRA, they would lose this senior deduction. This senior deduction was given in the One Big Beautiful Bill and OB3. And it was done because they couldn't modify Social Security, and there was a good chunk of people who are living off Social Security that's subject to taxes. If you have a certain income, 50% of your Social Security can be taxed, 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. So rather than changing up Social Security, because I guess the legislative process is different there, they came up with this senior deduction, and it's about, it's not about, it is $6,000 per person over age 65, so $12,000. But it phases out if you make too much money. And the reason I want to tell you about that is that you've got to manage your distributions. So if you have withdrawals from your portfolio, you need to make sure you know how you're doing your withdrawals. You can mess it up and lose the deduction. And also, if you decide you want to convert to a Roth IRA, you've got to watch out, because if you do too much, you might lose the deduction. So not thinking about how money comes out of your IRAs in the next few years, I think this is only going to 2028, and then we'll see if it gets extended. I'm pretty sure that's right. But you got to make sure you don't trigger too much income where you lose this, I think, a pretty nice deduction, a $6,000 deduction. And this $6,000 deduction stacks upon your standard deduction. It stacks on other deductions. So it's not that there's a trade-off here where you get one deduction, not the other. No, this is $6,000. So I don't want you to lose the $6,000 by not thinking about your withdrawals from your IRAs or conversions to Roths. If you do that wrong, you lose it. So I don't want that to happen for you. Now let's pivot to families. We're talking about individuals, Trump accounts for kids, senior deduction for seniors. Let's move to individuals. Move to families. And actually, let's talk the education freedom tax credit. This one's cool too. This one again is a Texas thing, but it might work. There might be some in your state. So check this out too. It's $1,700 tax credit, like one that you don't think about. And credits are better than deductions, by the way. Deductions can get phased out and all that stuff. Credit is like a direct, like here, your taxes go down by $1,700. So really cool. Everyone should do it. There's not an income limit, but how do you do it? Where do you go to do it? You have to go to, it's for education, right? So you need to find a school typically, and a private school. I'm on the board at New Braunfels Christian Academy, and they're going to set up the accounts to be able to accept the $1,700. And I don't know the administrative side of it yet, but we do know that it has to be, it has to go to specifically called a qualified scholarship granting organization. So not an insurmountable task for those that are in the education space from a private perspective. So if you have any private schools that you're a fan of, you can make a $1,700 donation to their scholarship fund. I'm paraphrasing here, to their scholarship fund. And if you do it right, you got to make sure it's done right. It can't be just it has to be specific. And again, these institutions will be able to help you. You'll get a $1,700 credit, and it's just a real nice, really clean credit. And I think all the grandparents should go around and just write checks to these scholarship funds to be able to get the credit off their taxes. And then at the same time, these scholarships are going to be used for a lot of kids to be able to get education in the private school space. So just kind of an easy credit if done the right way. And one that I think everyone should take advantage of. So pretty simple, $1,700 for a scholarship. Again, it has to be a specific type of institution, qualified scholarship granting organization. But again, any of the private schools here in the community in Texas, they know about it already. The last one's amazing. The fourth one I want to tell you about, it's another Texas thing. It's called the Education Freedom Account. You've heard a lot about school choices. This one is certainly a school choice thing that came out from the state of Texas, and this is just a wonderful opportunity for people to choose their schools. Again, there's a lot of debate on this. I'm I'd say I'm an unbiased person. I have opinions, but I've had a kid at home. I've had a kid homeschooled. I've had a kid private school. And I've had a kid in public school. So I know that there's merits in all of them. I hear you. I have a lot of friends all across the board. And you can talk, I guess, from one perspective politically about the reorganization of dollars. I don't think I have enough information to give you an opinion on, is it a good use of money? All I am going to do is tell you how to take advantage of it if you want to take advantage of it. I'm not here to talk about the fiscal responsibility of the federal government or the state. I've done that before, but not now. Now I'm saying, here's the rules of the game and here's how you play. So at some point, you've got to just stop whining. I say this, and I'm saying this to myself about, how the government should spend money and vote a certain way. And then at other times you say, okay, what's the rules and how do I play by the rules? And so that's what I'm trying to tell you today, is that if you go to private school or you want to go to private school, this is just a wonderful opportunity for you to apply to receive about a little over $10,000 to help offset the costs of private school. Now, a lot of private schools cost more than $10,000, so you still have to come out of pocket. But if you apply for this, and again, I'll send a link to you, you can get up to, it's $10,474 for private school, about $2,000 for homeschool. If your child has a disability, and that's autism, that's learning disability, you can get it up to $30,000. And so now if you want to pause for just a second, you can see the value of being able, if you have a child with a disability, being able to use these funds to select the school that would be able to give them the attention they need. Just for disability alone, children with disability, and I've actually had exposure to this very intimately in the public school system. There's some challenges. It's not insurmountable, but there's some challenges. Having school choice for a child with a disability is really a fascinating opportunity for them to find the school that best accommodates their kid. And so this is $30,000 that they could use. You just have to apply Again, I'll put a link on the show notes, education freedom accounts. It does take a little work. There's an application process, but the window is not forever. Let me see if I've got the window here. It's in March. It ends in March. So I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, but so don't wait. Go on there and apply. Make sure you apply for that. And the way they're going to assign, so they got a big bucket of money. It's $1 billion. And the way they're going to apply that money is they're first going to go to the kids with disabilities. And then they're going to go to kids that have a certain income level. It's a percentage of the poverty level, 500% and then 200%. And then they're going to go another percentage of the poverty level and then everyone else. So really anyone can apply for this. And they expect about 90,000 students to get this money. It's all based on, that's a roundabout number. But here's the crazy thing. It just launched, I think last week. So this is 2/12. So last week it just launched and already 46,000 students have applied for this. That was a record. So regardless of your income level, you should probably take the time. Again, go online and understand that you got to look at your tax return. There's some verification things, but do apply. I think it's worth it. Just know that there's an order in how this money is going to be allocated. It's going to start with the disabilities, then it's going to go to certain income levels. And then if there's anything left over, then that latter group will get, some money for that. So these are all really cool. So forget the politics that exists. These are things that you need to be doing with your money, and you need to be looking at these details and paying attention, because people with money, they find these little things and they're scooping up pennies, and all of a sudden the pennies turn into dollars. So in summary, want to make sure that you know about those Trump accounts, whether you're a grandparent or a parent, you need to know about the Trump accounts. Second, you need to, if you're over 65, make sure you pay attention to that retirement, that senior deduction that was in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Third, that tax credit of $1,700 for scholarships for private schools. Really clean, really easy. Try to find a school, give them some money for a scholarship. I think that's a great credit. We like credits. Deductions are good, but we really like credits. And then finally, this education freedom account, this education freedom. I keep messing it up because they're different, but education freedom accounts. Still learning all the nuanced names, but that if you have a child that you desire to go to private school, this is a great window of opportunity to get some money to be able to go to a private school. And of course, that's a pitch for me. I'm on the board for New Braunfels Christian Academy. So if you haven't seen that school, it's a gem. I'm proud to be a part of it. So, hey, I covered a lot. And I appreciate you hanging with me. I hope this was educational. I know it was a lot of content. I didn't want to give you all the information because you can look up a lot of this stuff. But I did want to point you in the right direction so you can start digging in a little bit. Check with one of the advisors here to see how it affects your overall plan. And remember, you think different when you think long-term. Have a great day.